I think that one of the things that you have to do is to recall that the distance that is in view here, or that is in view with regard to Van Til's understanding of the creator-creature distinction, that the creator-creature distinction doesn't mean a creator-creature isolation, okay? So, for instance, you get this in critical philosophy, and that's sort of Van Til's language he uses as sort of a catch-all for modern philosophy from the days of Immanuel Kant, right? So Kant talks about the distinction between the noumenal and the phenomenal realm. And really, that's a dualism, right? Sort of understood as both an ontological and epistemological dualism that's there. The noumenal realm cannot be known. It's sort of this transcendent realm that we have no access to. And then you have the phenomenal realm. That's the realm in which we live and have our experience that we can know through sense experience, etc. So I think that it's tempting for modern theology to import or impose a Kantian notion upon the biblical doctrine of the creator-creature distinction. In Kant, the noumenal and the phenomenal realms, of course, are in isolation. They're dualistically opposed to one another, and so they're in isolation of one another, so that the two have cannot have any interaction whatsoever. And of course, that is not what is in view here with regard to the confession. First of all, the confession, when it talks about a distance, obviously isn't talking about a physical distance,
Right.
but it's also not talking about a spherical or a dimensional distance either, right?
Well, let's speak
Um,
about some other basic texts,
mhm.
and these, of course, the divines are aware of. We know that all men know God, yet suppress the truth in unrighteousness. And we should also understand that now the unrighteousness part is not the case, but think of it this way conceptually. Now we know that it's just as soon as God created Adam, he established a covenant with him. We'll get to that in a minute. There's the act of creation, but then there's also a special act of providence. The confession distinguishes those two things. They're not identical. So the institution of a covenant is not creational. It's providential in terms of the theology of the standards. But even if God did not enter into a covenant with Adam, Adam would still know God because he's made in God's image, and it would be impossible for Adam to exist independently of God at all. Now, he might not know much about God, so to speak, but certainly God has revealed himself through the things that have been made. His glory is evident. And even if God didn't enter into a covenant or perform that special act of providence to do so, Adam would still have a relation to God. So I think very clearly, if we slow down and read these chapters of the Confession, covenant cannot be reduced to divine-human relation. Covenant is not a mere relation. It's something more than that, which we can speak of. But trying to collapse the creator-creature distinction and turn it into a creator-creature separation by which then man comes to know that God exists through a covenant or that he owes God something through a covenant, that's not what the standards are speaking of, as far as I understand.
Exactly.